Hello everybody. Today we'll study Chapter 4. Chapter 4, the title is Organizing Information. In basically organizing information, we will learn importance of organization, 3 principles of organization, ABC format for documents, and tips for organizing sections and paragraphs. Then lastly, we'll talk about organizing digital documents. When we say organizing information, basically means if we recall our chapter 1 through chapter 3, when we write the technical, basically communication writing, we first define purpose. Secondly, we try to analyze who is our audience. Thirdly, we collect all the informations. Then we begin to write a first draft. Then we revise and edit the first draft. Now we are in the section where we like to write first draft, and before we write the first draft, we like to organize the collected information that we gather from different sources. Then basically we'll begin to write the draft. And so basically this section we are trying to learn how to organize those information in different format for your reader, your audience to understand or comprehend proposal of your writing and messages that you like to convey to your readers. Now, in the organization, importance of organization, organizing information named as the most important topics for any undergraduate technical writing courses. Now, we say organization basically in writing is very important because it is like laying out information in introduction and basically more detailed discussion and basically giving some type of conclusion for your reader to take action. So without solid or proper organization of your writing, basically your reader will be totally confused. Okay. Now we'll talk about actually 3 different options of basically organization. First one will be organized information for mostly technical readers. That will be for expert and operator of very complicated machine. And you also talk about organized information for less technical readers, more regular employees or regular customers. And option C basically talk about organizing information for all readers. It would include either somebody who is very technical person to very lay person, basically who can understand your basically writing. And in this chapter, we will be more focusing on option C, which means we're going to try to talk about organizing information for all readers. Okay. Now 3 principles of organization. And basically in 3 principles of organization, first one talk about write different parts for different readers. And we talk about emphasizing beginnings and end of the document and repeat the key points. Let's first talk about write different parts for different reader. Every reader actually has different habit. Some people actually like to focus on the beginning, introduction. Some people actually like to just read it through from beginning to end. Other people will just flip it through. very fast to catch the main idea. The reason is people in the working environment don't have enough time to read every detail. So people like to read fast, understand the main point as soon as possible, as fast as they can. So many readers actually use speed read approach for lengthy document. So when people do speed read, it means we have to, people are looking for the main point because they don't want to read everything in detail. So we have to write in a way that responds to speed reader. And to do so, we have to drag each section to those most likely to read that particular section and shift the level of technicality from section to section. So we have to basically be able to display very simple, succinct, distinct message at the beginning of section, beginning of a paragraph, so that they don't have to read every detail in the section or in the paragraph. So basically, normally people like to actually, when they do speed reading, they like to basically begin with the introductory summary. And basically then they go through background, method, cost, liability, and conclusion. And those basically speed readers basically mostly concern beginning and end. So they like to flip it through the first introductory summary, then they will basically look at the conclusion and catch basically what is the main point in this writing. So first, they do quick scanning. Secondly, they basically focus on certain topics, certain topic sentence. Then they basically follow up and basically each different sections. So it means what the speed reader will do is they will first read the topics, big letters, beginning sentence. Then they will basically, after they catch what this writing is about, then they will try to go into a little more in detail. Okay. And another basically, the principle of organization is emphasizing beginning and ending. So busy readers expect to find the information in predictable place, such as beginning of the entire document, beginning of the report section, and beginning of the paragraph. We'll go into a little more detail on that later. And when we look at the level of interest, basically, at the beginning of documents, the interest level is quite high. Then basically at the middle of document, it goes down. That toward the end of the documents, level of interest comes back higher. So in the beginning and end, basically principle, we are trying to stress the beginning and end, and basically put the executive summary or introduction at the beginning, and in the conclusion, repeat what message you want to convey to the reader again in the conclusion. Okay, another basically principle organization is repeat the key point. And in this basically method, we use a redundant approach to organization, and we repeat the important information in different sections for different readers. So basically, rather than mentioning only one time, whatever your main point is, main idea is, you like to actually repeat that message over and over throughout your writing so that that person will pick up that message. Okay, before I move on to actually ABC format for document, I'd like to actually watch one of the YouTube video which will talk about introduction and summary of the writing. So let me see. Go into here. Let's watch the first video together.
Executive summary, sometimes known as a management summary, is a short document or section of a document produced for business purposes that summarizes a longer report or proposal or a group of related reports in such a way that readers can rapidly become acquainted with a large body of material without having to read it all. It usually contains a brief statement of the problem or proposal covered in the major document, background information, concise analysis and main conclusions. It is intended as an aid to decision-making by managers and has been described as possibly the most important part of a business plan. They must be short and to the point. An executive summary differs from an abstract in that an abstract will usually be shorter and is intended to provide a neutral overview or orientation rather than being a condensed version of the full document. Abstracts are extensively used in academic research where the concept of the executive summary would be meaningless. An abstract is a brief summarizing statement. Read by parties who are trying to decide whether or not to read the main document, while an executive summary, unlike an abstract, is a document in miniature that may be read in place of the longer document. Typical structure: there is wide general agreement on the structure of a typical executive summary. Books and training courses emphasize similar points. Typically, an executive summary will be possibly 5 to 10% or so of the length of the main report, be written in language appropriate for the target audience, consist of short and concise paragraphs, start with a summary, be written in the same order as the main report, only include material present in the main report, make recommendations, provide a justification, have a conclusion, be able to be read separately from the main report, sometimes summarize more than one document. Importance. The importance of executive summaries as a communication tool is frequently stressed in guides and analyses aimed at both academics and business people. For example, Texas A&M University states that an executive summary is an initial interaction between the writers of the report and their target readers, decision makers, potential customers, and/or peers. A business leader unregistered trademark's decision to continue reading a certain report often depends on the impression the executive summary gives. Criticisms: it has been said that, by providing an easy digest of an often complex matter, an executive summary can lead policymakers and others to overlook important issues. Professor Amanda Sinclair of the University of Melbourne has argued that this is often an active rather than a passive process. In one study, centered around globalization, she found that policymakers face pressures to adopt a simple reading of complex issues, and to depoliticize and universalize all sorts of differences. She claims that all research was framed under predefined and generic headings, such as business case points. The partners' reports were supposed to look the same. The standardization of research occurred via vehicles such as executive summaries. We executives only read the summaries. We were told. Similarly, Colin Lays, writing in the Socialist Register, argues that executive summaries are used to present dumbed-down arguments. There is remarkably little adverse comment on the steep decline that has occurred since 1980 in the quality of government policy documents, whose level of argumentation and use of evidence is all too often inversely related to the quality of their presentation. See also, business plan, references. External links, an executive summary of a major report by an international body, an executive summary published by the U.S. Department of State.
Okay, this video basically explains what is basically executive summary. And it talk about actually abstract. Now, when we look at ABC format for document for technical writing, basically it consists of the three-part structure. First, beginning component we call abstract. Now this abstract, we can call that as introduction or executive summary, whatever the name might be, but it is basically simple summary of what the writer wants to say. A middle component we call body is more essential details to support your introduction and your conclusion, and end component will be conclusion. So it's easy to remember A, B, C, abstract, body, and conclusion. Okay, so here when we look at in this diagram, it goes procedure for technical writing start with basically abstract, which was it give overview of purpose and most important information for decision maker. So rather than holding on to most important information in the workplace, we actually lay out what is proposed of our writing and what we want, or what kind of decision we want, or what proposal or business plan we want superior or your president wants to approve. So we lay out the purpose and what we want. Then we provide supporting details, maybe why. Why should your superior approve your proposal or business plan? Then we go to more detailed conclusion and recommendation at the end. And normally, for other basically technical work, we begin with basically very detailed. We begin with the collecting information from many sources. Then we analyze the information. Then we come with a conclusion recommendation. But in technical writing, we start with basically lay out what is the purpose, what we want. What we want from the reader, what we want from the decision maker. Then we support our claim. Then we come up with the conclusion. Okay, so if we actually go through this once again, we start with abstract. Abstract is basically giving a big picture for decision maker. Then we go through the document body, details for our reader. Then we conclude with the conclusion. You wrap up, leading to next step. Next step is what do we want to do from here, this conclusion? What action should we take from this conclusion? Okay, then let's talk about abstract a little more in detail. Abstract is giving a big picture for decision maker. It includes brief overview of document's main point, purpose statement, important point for decision maker, and list or description of main sections that will follow the abstract. So basically, introduction abstract basically gives purpose, what's the main point, and what will follow in subsequent sections in this paper. Okay. Then basically, to give a big picture, we actually write big picture in summary or executive summary. We can call that introductory summary. We can call that overview or introduction. Now, this is a common headings. You can choose any one of these titles. You're not going to basically write in these sequences, because all these means they are saying it is introduction. And you can describe your introduction in summary, executive summary, introductive summary, overview, whatever that is. It is introduction, basically, section of your writing. Then you move on to main body of your document. That is for details for all readers. And basically, our reader, would like to know what's the supporting information. How did he come up with that decision? So you would like to give background of this project. You'd like to give some detailed information of the field, lab, office, or other work upon which document is based, where you found that information, and you like to lay out details of your conclusion, recommendation, or proposal. So this main body is more supporting document or supporting information. So first part is introduction, which give purpose, and which also describe what you want. Main body will say why you want it, why you made the decision. Okay, now we are still in document body. Now in the document body, basically, we can basically lay out separate facts from, you need to separate the fact from your opinion. Your opinion always begin with, I believe, or in my opinion, or I feel like. The fact is basically according to, let's say, some books, newspaper, some research paper. These are the facts. So opinions start with I believe, separate facts start with according to, and you want to basically give a detail where you found that fact. And you want to adopt a format that reveal basically much structure. We're going to actually go through a more detail a little later. And if possible, you like to use a graphics whenever possible. Okay, then in the basic conclusion, you like to wrap up reading to conclusion and what's next. So you bring readers back to one or more center that you began in your introduction paragraph, and basically, which mentioned in the body, that provide a basically closure, basically to the document, lead to next step in writer's relationship. So in the conclusion, you will say what step next to be taken from here. Okay. And in the conclusion, basically, common heading will be conclusion, closing remark, conclusion, and recommendation. All these are common heading for the conclusion section. Now, in the basically conclusion section, you like to lay out the leading to next step, and basically drive home basically your message using one of two format. Basically, these format basically say what has to happen. Okay, if you say we like to make these changes in our organization, then you want to say number 1, number 2, number 3. Or rather than basically making a list, you can summarize in paragraph. First, second, third. Okay, then it goes into document section and paragraph. Now, let me actually go into this tips for organizing section and paragraph. Now, when you actually write, now we are talking about the body of the introduction, abstract, body, and conclusion. We are here more in the main body of the writing. Main body of writing consists with the different sections and different paragraphs. And in this here talk about common patterns of organization. It means you can write in sequences, you can write in different classification, division, you can compare and contrast two different ideas, or basically you can start with very general topic and go into more detailed topic, or you can take the approach of cause and effect or problem solution. Now let me show you one, let's watch one of the YouTube video which is about this patterns of organization. I think it is the second video. Topic is understanding organization.
Organization. Good reading means more than just recalling facts. It takes many skills. One skill is the ability to see how the writer organizes facts. Writers organize details in a pattern. They try to use a pattern that suits the topic. They also want the pattern to help them achieve their purpose for writing. Writers do not let their thoughts wander aimlessly. They try to think logically. There are 6 key patterns for details: simple listing, order of importance, chronological order, spatial development, cause and effect, comparison and contrast. Simple listing. A simple list of details is the easiest pattern for the writer to use. A simple listing is the least structured pattern. One fact or detail after another is listed to support the main idea. For example, the Supreme Court has 9 judges. They are appointed by the President with the approval of the Senate. They serve as justices for life. One of the justices is selected to head the court. He or she is the Chief Justice. The other justices are called Associate Justices. Order of importance. When writers want to stress some detail over others, they use order of importance. Major ideas call for more emphasis than minor ideas. Usually, the most important detail is stated first. Minor ones follow. For example, 3 kinds of honeybees live in a beehive: the queen, the workers, and the drones or male bees. They are divided into these classes by the type of work they do. At the top of the bee social ladder is the queen. The only job the queen bee does is lay eggs. The workers are really other females. They defend the hive and bring food to it. Drones are the bottom class. They do no work. They mate with the queen and so guarantee that the hive will continue to exist. Chronological order. Time order, or chronological order, is used for history, novels, and news stories. Anyone who writes to tell what happened when uses time order. Events are usually stated in the order in which they occurred. For example, Florence Nightingale was born on May 12, 1820. She lived with her family on a large estate in England. When she was 16, she decided to become a nurse and was determined to improve health care in England. During the Crimean War, which began in 1853, Nightingale organized hospital care for wounded soldiers. Her efforts saved countless lives. Spatial development. The word spatial refers to space. This is the form most often used to describe. The writer states details as they are seen from a vantage point. The point is to shape the description so that the reader may follow it. For example, some people live in strange places, but about the strangest of all is a town of 1,500 souls high in the crater of an extinct volcano on the island of Saba in the West Indies. The island, quite barren on its slopes, rises steeply out of the ocean. To land on it is so hazardous, few pilots care to take the risk. Another discouraging feature is the climb up the ladder, an almost vertical flight of stone steps 800 feet high. Cause and effect. A cause is an event that makes another event occur. An effect is the result. The cause brings about the effect. For example, as a result of the Great Depression, Hollywood flourished. Cheap tickets, free time, and the lure of fantasy brought 60 million to 80 million Americans to the movies each week. Comparison and contrast. A comparison shows how things are alike. Comparison is very good for explaining the unfamiliar. A contrast shows how things differ. To enrich your understanding of a topic, items are paired and their similarities or differences are listed. For example, although both artists lived in Spain, Pablo Picasso and Salvador Dali had styles that differed dramatically. Picasso depicted his subjects in abstract terms, whereas Dali painted the stark reality of the image. Additional patterns. We have covered 6 frequently used patterns of organization, but there are others, such as classification, definition, description, example, problem solution, process, and reasons why. Remember, being familiar and able to recognize the common patterns of organization will help you to be a more efficient reader.
Okay, let's go back to our lecture. So basically, as you saw in the YouTube video, they talk about different patterns of organizing the information in sequences, different classification, division, compare and contrast, from general to more specific, or cause and effect and program solution. And all these are basically different way of organizing the information in sections and paragraph in the documents. Okay, then what is a document section? Now, document sections basically is mini abstract. It is more like brief wrap-up at start and finish of major section. Now, in the basically one big paper, we start with introduction, abstract, body of the paper, and conclusion. In the body of the conclusion, it will have different sections. And each section basically will focus on some specific ideas. And we can call that as mini introduction or mini abstract. And basically these, in the section, these sentences capture attention of the reader, and basically it leads to indicate main topic to the following sections. So in the body, it is divided into different sections. Then in each section, there are also more detailed paragraphs. Now these paragraphs are basic building blocks of basically any document. It starts with the topic sentence. Again, in smaller scale, it starts with topic sentence, develop the main idea, use transitional element, and write closing sentence. So within one big paper, there is abstract, body, conclusion. In the body, there are different sections. Within section, it is also, there are different paragraphs. In the paragraph, it starts with the topic sentence, main idea, then paragraphs are linked with the different transitional basically element. Then it also goes into closing sentence. Now normally paragraph basically consists of 6 to 10 lines, and basically at least 3 to 4 items, and you can basically place in different table or different figures. Now before we actually move on to modular writing, in paragraph, actually I'd like to watch the one more video together to give you an idea of what paragraph means. So let's go into last video here and watch this.
A successful essay begins with the ability to write a strong paragraph. So I want to talk about basic paragraph structure and a little bit about what makes an effective paragraph. Okay, so every paragraph has the same 3 basic components. You have your topic sentence, your supporting sentences, and your concluding sentence. Now the topic sentence is important because it's the main idea of the entire paragraph. The supporting sentences have one job, which is to develop the main idea or to support the topic sentence with examples, detail, explanation. The concluding sentence is there to give the paragraph closure and to touch upon the main idea, to give the reader the idea that the topic is now finished and that you're moving on to something else. Okay, so the entire paragraph stems from the topic sentence. So it's really important to have a strong topic sentence. Let's look at an example of a good one. Taking too many university courses at once can have potentially serious consequences. Okay, so this is a strong topic sentence for a couple reasons. One, it has a clear topic. In this case, taking too many university courses at once. Also, it has a main idea. In this case, potentially serious consequences. It's also effective because it gives the reader an idea of what kind of paragraph they're going to be reading, whether it's descriptive, narrative, opinion-based, comparison. Now, in this case, it's clearly going to be a paragraph discussing the effects of taking too many courses. All right, now let's look at 4 example topic sentences. You can even pause the video for a minute and look at these 4 sentences and decide which do you think is the strongest topic sentence here. All right, that was actually a bit of a trick question because none of these 4 sentences are strong topic sentences. Each of them is problematic in one way or another. So let's look at them. Number 1, 4 out of 5 teenagers in Canada have cell phones. Now the problem with that is that it's a fact, and therefore it's too specific, it's too narrow to be a topic sentence. There's no idea to develop in your supporting sentences. Number 2, driving is very stressful. That's also problematic, but for the opposite reason. It's too broad. It's too big of an idea. You have to be more specific, less generalized. Driving where or when? Stressful for whom? Number 3, how I learned to be more patient. Now this is a good topic, but it's not a topic sentence because it's incomplete. Make sure that your topic sentence has a clear subject, verb, and is a completed idea. Okay? Number 4, in this paragraph, I would like to discuss the importance of food in Italian culture.